The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka receives numerous complaints of unauthorized deposit-taking institutions within the country. Hotels in the country protest against a decision taken by the National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol to ban the happy hour. Stock market returns to its negative trajectory after rebounding yesterday. And Toyota's global sales and production in April declines compared to the previous year, impacted by an intense price war in China.
From Studio 24, here's Sina Mayadune.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The central bank has received over 150 complaints of unauthorized deposit-taking institutions in the country. Officials also revealed that separately 4 cases have been filed following thorough investigation by the CBSL. They said complaints received are referred to law enforcement authorities for further investigation, after which the Attorney General's Department's intervention is sought to pursue action further. CBSL officials added that there are several more cases sent to the Attorney General's Department for further action. Sri Lanka's hotels have protested a move by the island's Alcohol and Tobacco Control Agency to ban the happy hour, with the threat to fine each director 50,000 rupees if discounts are offered on alcohol.
Tourist Hotel Association of Sri Lanka President M. Shantakumar said that it is a serious matter for the industry. He stated that the happy hour is not only found in Sri Lanka and it's across the world. The National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol had informed a city hotel that received complaints that hotels were offering discounts on drinks during happy hour promotions. The practice was viewed as a violation of the NET Act. The agency had decided to direct all hotels to stop giving discounts on alcohol. Each director will be fined 50,000 rupees if hotels continue to make customers happy with discounts. Shantakumar said representations have been made to the Sri Lankan Tourist Development Authority to help resolve the crisis. He said they have also written to the State Minister of Finance, Rehan Semasinga.
Government of India has launched BIMSTEC India Marine Research Network, a joint initiative of MEA and the Bay of Bengal Programme, intergovernmental organisation to facilitate sustainable development of blue economy by networking researchers and research institutions in BIMSTEC countries.
The Indian High Commission said in Colombo that candidates from Sri Lanka would get opportunities to conduct doctoral research in India under an initiative launched for the BIMSTEC countries. Under BIMREN's split-side doctoral fellowships, doctor candidates in BIMSTEC member countries get a research grant of up to 1 million Indian rupees and the opportunity to pursue studies at India research labs for 6 to 12 months. BIMREN aims to enable PhD students from BIMSTEC countries to conduct doctoral research in India and facilitate collaborative research among scientists. Researchers and academic institutions engaged in research and fisheries, marine or ocean sciences from across the BIMSTEC region would stand to benefit from the program.
The Department of Animal Production and Health says that Sri Lanka's egg consumption has risen by about 1 million. Department officials stated that the daily consumption of chicken eggs in this country was 7 million, and in the last few months that the amount has exceeded to about 8 million eggs.
Minister of Agriculture and Plantation Industry Mahinda Amaraveera said the increase in local demand should not compromise Sri Lankan egg exports and asked for a survey to be conducted on egg consumption. Sri Lanka exports chicken eggs mainly due to the Maldives, and because of the presence of bird flu in other countries, there is a high demand for eggs from Sri Lanka. The increase in egg consumption in the island was attributed to the rise in foreign tourists, prices of meat and fish going up, as well as local demand for it as the cheapest protein food available. A currency crisis also pushed many people into poverty, making eggs a cheaper source of nutrition compared to meat and fish, which are more expensive. Last year, Sri Lanka's egg production was heavily affected by price controls imposed by the Consumer Affairs Authority as chicken feed prices went up amid local forex shortage and a global commodity bubble. The government had also imposed restrictions on maize imports, which poultry farmers use for chicken feed. But in April this year, Amaraveera said egg production had exceeded the daily requirement and the local consumers could expect fall in egg prices.
The Indian Ocean Rim Association Business Conclave 2024 was held from May 28th to 29th, which facilitated trade and investment across the Indian Ocean Rim region by yielding strategic memorandums of understanding and promoting international industry engagement.
Organised by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Sri Lanka, the conclave brought together key stakeholders to foster economic collaboration under the theme Sustaining Growth, Bridging Horizons. Attended by the Minister of Foreign Affairs Honorable Ali Sabri as the chief guest and Secretary General of the Global Alliance A Sustainable Planet Mr. Satya Tripathi as the keynote speaker, the conclave resulted in several significant outcomes, including the signing of multiple memorandum of understanding aimed at enhancing bilateral trade and business. These MOUs focus on disseminating relevant information, promoting joint ventures, partnerships and business linkages, providing technical expertise, organizing business delegations and knowledge transfer events. The Ceylon Chamber signs MOUs with Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Sri Lankan Australian Chamber of Commerce Sydney and the Indo-Sri Lanka Chamber of Commerce and Industry in India. Facilitated by the conclave, the Chamber of Marine Industry in Sri Lanka signed an MOU with the Indo-Sri Lanka Chamber of Commerce and Industry focusing on joint efforts to establish marinas, promote yacht ownership, support the local boat industry and promote yacht visits and orders and investments. IORA comprises 23 member states and 12 dialogue partners, offering a platform for promoting trade, investment and economic collaboration.
State Minister for Finance Shahan Semasinghe said that Sri Lanka is confident of wrapping up debt talks in time for the International Monetary Fund to consider the next review of the island's program. Minister Semasinghe told reporters yesterday that we have a strong conviction and that it's within our timeliness we can do it. Discussions on converting in-principle deals with official creditors into MOUs are progressing. Moreover, he stated that we have to open the second round of negotiations with bondholders. He added that advisors of bondholders and governments are also engaging. Short commercial break now. Updates from the stock exchange coming right after this. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. The Colombo Stock Exchange rebounded yesterday from its negative trend, but today the market returned to its downward trajectory, recording new lows. Both the indices were seen in the red, marking a bad ending for the week. To get the updates, let's go to Rishita Pereira joining us from SC Securities.
Yes, today the market indices closed in red, marking the end of a neutral week of trading. The all-share price index closed at 12,106 with a decline of 64 points, and the S&P SL20 index closed at 3,569, a decline of 16 points where indices were dragged down by month-end selling. The turnover was recorded at 1.168 billion rupees with a share volume of 58.14 million. The top 5 gainers were CT Holdings, Renuka Holdings, Bansai Resorts, Lanka Ceramics and Agarapatharam Plantations. Top losers were Ceylon Merchant Finance, non-voting, Nation Lanka Finance, Blue Diamonds and Ceylon Printers. Daily crossing volumes included 300,000 shares of National Development Bank, 500,000 shares of Nations Trust Bank, 841,804 shares of Melstar Corporation and 565,155 shares of TJ Lanka.
It has been quite a week at the stock market, with a brief day of gains overshadowed by predominantly low performances. To get a summary on this week's performance, let's connect with Netmi Fernando, joining us from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you. The market commenced the week on a bearish note, influenced by the monetary policy announcement, which was scheduled for the 28th of May 2024, where investors adopted a wait-and-see approach. Continuing the downward trend, the market displayed a lackluster sentiment surrounded by the prevailing political uncertainties in the country, further influenced by the delay in the finalizing of the EDR process with bilateral lenders. Furthermore, towards mid-week, with the announcement of the commercial bank rights issue, selling pressure emerged among investors on banking sector shares. Towards the latter part of the week, market rebounded but failed to keep up the momentum as the week concluded with the index registering in the red, recording at 12,106, losing over 200 points during the week. The average turnover for the week was recorded at LKR 986 million, lower than the average turnover of LKR 1.3 billion recorded last week. Notably, active high net worth investor participation was recorded this week, whilst the retailers were on the back foot, recording trades at around the 10,000 level, owing to the lingering uncertainties in the economy. Net foreign inflow was recorded at LKR 65 million during the week, whilst Melstar displayed the highest foreign inflow and the commercial bank recorded the highest foreign outflow during today's session.
Gold prices steadied in Asian trade today, with traders remaining wary of the yellow metal before key U.S. inflation data that is likely to factor into the outlook for interest rates. Spot gold steadied at an average price of $2,342.86 an ounce, while gold futures expiring in August fell 0.1% to $2,363.80 an ounce. The yellow metal was still set to gain about 2.6% in May after it shot up to record highs early in the month. Among industrial metals, copper prices slipped, tracking weaker than expected purchasing managers' index data from top importer China. Metal markets saw some relief on Friday after the dollar slid from over 2-week highs in overnight trade, tracking weak gross domestic product figures. Oil prices fell today, extending recent losses. This was driven by unexpected builds in U.S. product inventories, which raised concerns about sluggish fuel demand. Brent oil futures expiring in July dropped 0.3% to $81.61 per barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 0.4% to $77.64 per barrel. Both contracts were set to lose nearly 5% in May amid persistent worries over sluggish demand this year. Signs of weakening business activity in top oil importer China also weighed on prices. U.S. oil inventories saw a bigger than expected draw of nearly 4.2 million barrels in the week of May 24 against expectations of a 1.6 million barrel decline. The Sri Lankan rupee slightly depreciates today against the US dollar, same as yesterday. Accordingly, the buying rate of the US dollar is 296 rupees and 97 cents, while the selling rate is 306 rupees and 58 cents. Let's take a look at how the rupee exchange rates behaved against the other global currencies. Let's go for a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. In its commitment to nurturing budding sports talents, Dialog Asiata PLC, Sri Lanka's premier connectivity provider, is once again fueling the Dialog Schools Rugby League 2024.
A record 84 school teams will compete across 3 divisions, setting a new benchmark in the history of schools rugby league. The increased number of schools is a result of Dialog's continued efforts in supporting schools rugby over the past years, including initiatives such as development tournaments. The much-awaited season will kick off the Division 1 Segment A clash on the 14th of June at Havelock Grounds. The president of the Sri Lanka Schools Rugby Football Association, Kamal Arisinghe, stated that this year's league features the highest number of teams, which is 84, and it has shown remarkable growth over the years, and they extend their gratitude to their main sponsor Dialog Asiata for the support, particularly in these challenging times. Dialog ASEAN is also dedicated sponsors of the national cricket, volleyball and esports teams and the primary sponsor of the Sri Lanka Golf Open. The company promotes diversity, equity and inclusion through sponsorships in Netball Federation of Sri Lanka and National Paralympic Committee to enable athletes to participate in national and international tournaments.
The Lanka Hospitals Corporation plc announces that the company has been notified by the Finance Ministry regarding a decision by the Board of Directors of Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation Limited to transfer its shares in the Lanka Hospitals Corporation plc to the Treasury Secretary.
Issuing a statement, the Lanka Hospital Corporation plc stated that they are informed that pursuant to the said decision, a request has been submitted to the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission to facilitate the transfer of the said shares. The statement added that this announcement is made under the continuing disclosure requirements of the Colombo Stock Exchange regarding the intimation by the Department of Public Enterprise in the respect of actions initiated towards the restructuring of legal and beneficial ownership of shares of the Lanka Hospitals Corporation plc held by the Government of Sri Lanka through its agencies.
Emirates Group revealed yesterday that outlook for travel to Sri Lanka has been increasingly strong in 2024, with passenger bookings up more than 200% compared to 2023 levels.
It added the UAE and UK continue to represent the most prominent source markets seeking to travel the country. To further boost destination Sri Lanka, the Emirates-linked Derana Travel Group on the 3rd of June will hold a travel industry event in Colombo hosted by their senior representatives and its global brands. New event named Horizon Sri Lanka aims to connect Derana Travel Group brands including UAE-based Derana Travel, UK-based Travel Bag, its corporate travel division, its partners at Emirates Holidays and others with the local travel and hospitality industry in Sri Lanka to increase global travel bookings to the country. Derana Travel Group Divisional Vice President stated that a key element of the strategy of our global travel brands is to continue and increase their presence and strong industry connections across the Indian Ocean as they remain one of the most prominent producers of room nights to its range of attractive destinations. Other key opportunities in focus for the Sri Lankan market and Derana Travel Group brands at Horizon Sri Lanka will include multi-center holidays, niche marketing segments, luxury segment growth, new source markets and optimized sourcing and distribution.
Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts is pleased to announce a limited-time exclusive flash offer tailored specifically for Sri Lankan locals to experience the luxury and exceptional service of its renowned resorts.
Locals can now enjoy a 40% discount on stays until the 30th of September 2024 at the strategically located properties of the Sri Lankan resorts. These hotel resorts include Cinnamon Benthora Beach, Cinnamon Bay Beruvela, Cinnamon Wild Deala, Cinnamon Lodge Habarana, Cinnamon Citadel Candy, Habarana Village by Cinnamon and Hika Trans by Cinnamon. This limited time promotion presents a unique opportunity to experience the luxury and exceptional service of its renowned resorts across Sri Lanka at exceptional rates. Bookings are open from the 28th of May to the 1st June 2024. This offer provides an excellent opportunity for friends and families to experience a relaxing holiday at a fraction of the usual cost. This exclusive offer is designed to give the local community a chance to enjoy luxurious.
Sri Lanka tourism once again showed its full potential and capacity to attract visitors not only by promoting the destination as a tourist attraction, but also for its vibrancy and creativity by bagging the award for the best booth design at the 39th Seoul International Travel Fair held in South Korea recently.
70 countries promoted their tourism resources and cultures at the event, while the Sri Lankan stand created a major sensation among the participants with its beautifully designed culture, themes, tourism products and night items. The SITF is the only international travel fair in Korea where official tourist organizations at home and abroad sponsor and participate. The SITF is widely recognized as one of the most major travel fairs held annually in South Korea. The Sri Lankan Tourism Promotion Bureau participated this time along with the country's leading travel and industry stakeholders under different categories. High-profile travel and industry stakeholders participated at this event where they shared the latest travel options and locations to visit Sri Lanka. The participants also had the chance to have a sip of the finest Ceylon tea which they thoroughly enjoyed. The South Korean market plays a crucial role in enabling tourists to Sri Lanka as it generates a considerable amount of tourists each year to the destination.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global updates coming right away. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stocks inched higher today while the dollar was steady, keeping the pressure on the yen as investors await inflation readings from Europe and US that will likely dictate the path of interest rates globally. A downward revision to consumer spending meant the US economy grew more slowly than expected in the first quarter, data showed yesterday, weighing on treasury yields and the dollar. China stocks rose with the blue chip index up 0.20%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng index gaining 1%. Japan's Nikkei was up 0.20% and is flat for the month. Australia's S&P ASX 200 rose 1% to 7,701.70, and the Kospi in Seoul was flat. US stocks ended lower yesterday, with the Nasdaq falling more than 1% and technology shares leading declines after a disappointing Salesforce forecast.
U.S. stocks fell on Thursday, led by declines in technology shares after a disappointing Salesforce forecast. The Dow dropped almost 0.9%, the S&P 500 shed 0.6%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq fell more than 1%. Salesforce shares plunged more than 19% after its lowest ever quarterly revenue growth forecast. That has raised fears rival AI offerings and high interest rates are hampering demand at the cloud-based firm. Among the day's gainers, shares of Gap, which closed up 4%, soared more than 21% in after-hours trading after the retailer raised its annual sales forecast and its first quarter results beat market expectations. On the flip side, department store chain Kohl's slumped more than 22.5% after cutting its annual sales and profit forecasts. HP jumped nearly 17% after it posted better than expected second quarter revenue. And Tesla shares rose about 1.5% after Reuters reported the company was preparing to register its full self-driving software in China. In economic data, a Commerce Department report showed the economy grew slower in the first quarter than previously estimated. That's after downward revisions to consumer spending and a key measure of inflation ticked lower ahead of Friday's personal consumption expenditure report for April, the preferred inflation gauge of the Federal Reserve.
Toyota's April global sales and production fell from a year earlier, hurt by an intense price war in China and a decline in Japan after a production stoppage of some models and a safety test scandal.
Toyota's global sales and production in April fell from a year earlier due to drops in China and Japan. In China, sales fell 27% and Japan saw a 14% decline. The results in both regions offset double-digit growth in the United States and Europe. The sales dip in China's auto market, the largest in the world, comes as Toyota and other automakers remain locked in a fierce price war. They're facing huge pressure to shift to electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids, which are being sold by Chinese brands and are becoming increasingly dominant. Toyota's Japan sales were hit by a temporary halt to production of the Prius model for quality checks and a partial halt to production of the plant that makes Noah and Voxy minivans. Toyota faced fallout from the scandal at small car maker Daihatsu. The world's top automaker by volume reported a 4% drop in global production. Markets with weaker output included China, Japan, Thailand and Mexico. Nearly 40% of the vehicles sold by Toyota in April were gasoline-electric hybrids, and only 2% were electric vehicles. Separate figures for Daihatsu showed its worldwide sales plunged 54% in April. The automaker's shares were down in after-hours trading.
Scandinavian Airlines SAS posted a second quarter pre-tax loss that more than doubled from a year earlier, while pledging to complete its restructuring this summer.
Scandinavian airline SAS on Thursday posted a second quarter loss that more than doubled from a year earlier. That's while pledging to complete its financial restructuring this summer. It posted a pre-tax loss of over $287 million for the February to April quarter, compared with a loss of around $132 million a year earlier. That came as operating costs rose more than revenue. The carrier pledged it would complete its financial restructuring this summer, known as the SAS Forward Plan. The CEO said the firm would emerge from the plan as a, quote, financially stronger airline with a stable equity structure. The airline filed for US bankruptcy protection in 2022. It has been struggling for years with high costs, coupled with low customer demand, exacerbated by the global health crisis. The company has said the restructuring, which was approved in March this year, will wipe out SAS's equity with no payments to existing shareholders. The company's exit from bankruptcy will be financed by $1.21 billion in funding from a combination of hedge fund Castle Lake, airline Air France, investment manager Lind Invest, and the Danish state. Shares were down in early trading following the earnings report.
Well, that marks the end of this week's final bulletin of the Naila Business Report. We'll see you again next week with the latest happenings across the business globe. I'm Sina Mayadune. Have a great weekend and good night.